Hi everyone, welcome to Hilltop View Journals. I'm Steph and I'm absolutely passionate about all things junk journaling. If, like me, you've got a drawer or two full of bits and bobs, old receipts, scraps of paper, vintage ephemera and random stationery, then you're in very good company. I started junk journaling because I wanted to create journals that suited how I want to write about my life. They're interesting in a creative way and to make something truly personal out of the pieces of everyday life that tend to get left behind. For me, junk journals aren't just a craft project, they're a brilliant way to document memories, jot down thoughts and give a second life to things that might otherwise end up in the bin. My journals are very much for daily use. I write in them, I plan, I sketch, and I love creating signatures in advance so I can grab a journal whenever inspiration strikes, wherever that happens to be. There's something so freeing about not worrying if a page is perfect and instead just letting your story unfold with whatever you have on hand. In this Journal With Me series, I'll be sharing my methods for mass-making signatures, creating covers and adding embellishments, always with a focus on using what's already in my stash. I hope you'll join me as we get creative, make a good old mess and celebrate the beauty of everyday journaling, one signature at a time. And that brings us on to what is a junk journal? A junk journal is, quite simply, a handmade book created from all sorts of found and recycled materials. Think old book pages, pretty packaging, vintage envelopes, scrap papers, tickets, receipts, all manner of ephemera. The best thing about junk journaling is that there are no rules. You get to use whatever you have to hand, and every page is a little adventure and creativity. And using digital kits is fine. As well as scrapbooking paper, you use whatever you want in your books. What sets a junk journal apart from a traditional journal or diary is its unique blend of the practical and the artistic. Instead of starting with a plain notebook, you're building your own, filling it with textures, patterns and pieces with little stories of their own. It's like a scrapbook, an art journal and a diary all rolled into one, only much more personal and eco-friendly. But you can also start with a plain notebook and personalise it to however you like. You do you. Now, a daily journal or an everyday junk journal has a slight twist. While I still make mine out of scraps and recycled bits, I focus on leaving plenty of space to write and reflect each day. Instead of packing in all the embellishments from the start, I keep the pages simple to begin with. And that way, it's easy to write in, jot my own thoughts, document what's happened or how I'm feeling, and maybe even do a quick sketch or stick in something I've picked up during the day. If you've been following my channel for a while, you'll probably know that I've got quite a habit of making journal signatures ahead of time. Stacks and stacks of them, to be honest. And here's my current pile. All sorts of papers gathered and folded and patiently waiting to become proper journals. Now, part of the reason I've started this series is because, if I'm honest, things have got a bit out of hand. I love the process of prepping signatures. I find it calming, creative and a brilliant way to use up scraps that might otherwise just sit around gathering dust. But as life has got busy, I've ended up with all these unfinished bundles. And they end up being shoved in a drawer, waiting for covers, waiting to be bound, or just a little love really to transform them into finished journals. So I thought, why not bring you along as I sort through this lot, get organised and finally turn these half-finished bits into journals I can actually use and look at on my shelves. My aim is to use up as many scraps as possible. I really don't want to waste anything and to show that even the most random stacks of paper can become something beautiful and practical. Hopefully, as I work through these signatures and chat about my process, I can give you ideas making the most of your own stash, whether you're keen to get organised or just want some inspiration for everyday journaling. So let's get started and see what's lurking in this stack. I showed you earlier this pile here of finished signatures, and I'm sure you thought, wow, yeah, there's a bit of an issue there. Well, these are probably from maybe last year. I've also got I just put those to one side. This pile here, these are the latest ones that you will have seen me make during the 100-day project. And yeah, so I've got these to put into signatures as well. Here's my 100-day project journaling here. And these are all my daily signatures. And this is the last one I've just finished now. So yeah, as you can see, I do have a little bit of an issue. I thought it would be helpful to share how I use my junk journals for everyday journaling and the type of journaling I do. Every day, I will put time aside to do what's known as long-form journaling. Long-form journaling is something I turn to when I really want to get my thoughts down on paper without overthinking it. It's the kind of journaling where you just write freely, no rules, no structure, and definitely no pressure to make it neat or grammatically correct. I'll often end up scribbling across several pages in one sitting, just letting my thoughts spill out as they come. It's a bit like doing a brain dump. I might write about how I'm feeling, something that's been playing on my mind, something I want to remember, or even just what happened in the day. Whatever needs to come out, I let it flow. And because I'm not filtering myself, it can feel really honest and quite freeing. It's very different from more structured styles like bullet journaling or those one-a-line-day journals. With long-form journaling, you're giving yourself proper space to reflect. It's your private space, somewhere you don't need to impress anyone. It doesn't need to be tidy or make perfect sense. What matters is that it's real. I find it such a powerful tool for self-reflection, especially if I'm feeling overwhelmed or just need a bit of clarity. Often, by the time I get to the end of the few pages, I feel lighter, more grounded, and I've usually worked out what was bothering me, or at least made a bit of sense of it. If you've never tried it before, I really recommend giving it a go. Just sit down with a notebook, set a timer if you want to, and write whatever comes to mind. Don't edit, don't judge, just write. Another thing I like to do is journal using morning pages. And morning pages are a daily journaling habit I've picked up in the last year, based on Julia Cameron's well-known idea from her book, The Artist's Way. It's similar to long-form journaling, but it's a way of journaling that you do as soon as you get up. When I have the time, I will start my day by grabbing a notebook and a pen, preferably before I get caught up in everything else or before I pick up my phone, and then I just write, longhand, for 3 full pages. There's no structure, no plan, and definitely no need to worry about spelling, grammar, or even whether what I'm writing makes any sense. It's really just a brain dump. Literally anything that comes to mind goes on the page. Some mornings it might be dreams I've had, plans for the day, things I'm worried about, random lists, or even things I'm annoyed about. It's usually very personal, raw, and not for anyone else's eyes. And the whole point is to clear out the mental clutter, make space for new ideas to emerge and give myself a bit of headspace before the day gets busy. It's not supposed to be polished writing or a pretty journal page, just private scribbles for my eyes only. And there are no rules except to keep going until I fill 3 pages, even if it feels pointless or repetitive some days. The magic is that over time, the practice really does make a difference. I often find myself feeling lighter, thinking more clearly, and occasionally getting surprising insights simply because I've taken the time to get it all down on paper. For me, it's become an essential part of my morning routine when I can journal, something that helps with stress, sparks my creativity, and gives me a quiet moment for myself before everything else begins. But as everyone knows, life is busy and never the same every day, so I use morning pages on the days that I know I can sit down for half an hour and write without interruption. Rapid logging is something I use daily for when I want to keep my journaling really simple and straightforward. It's a quick and efficient way to jot down notes, tasks, and little reminders using short phrases and basic symbols, what we call bullets. It's not quite bullet journaling, which is a series of different pages and layouts that you make into collections. Rather than writing out full sentences or long diary entries, I strip it back when rapid logging to the essentials, and it really helps me stay organised, especially on busy days. Here's how I tend to break it down in practice in my journals. I use a square which marks as a task, like buy milk or call dad, or for meetings when it's on a work day. A heart is for things that I'm grateful for. I use a plus and a minus for good and not so good stuff that occurs during the day. And I use arrows to indicate that it's a task recurring or needs to be pushed on to the next day. You can add little symbols called signifiers. So I might use an asterisk to highlight something important that I can't forget, or an exclamation mark for something that sparked an idea or feels meaningful. What I like about rapid logging is how simple it is. It takes away that pressure to fill up a whole page with well-written paragraphs. And instead I get everything out of my head really quickly and clearly, and my journal becomes more of a practical tool to help me manage my day. It's brilliant if you're short on time or if you're more focused on staying productive than doing lots of decorative journaling. There's still room for creativity elsewhere, but for day-to-day notes and life admin, this method works perfectly for me, and I will complete a page throughout the day. The last type of journaling I wanted to share with you today is how I use specific project journals. When I'm taking part in a creative project like the 100-day project or Junk Journal January, I tend to write in my journal a little differently than I normally would. I still treat it as my personal space, but I use the prompts as a starting point, just something to spark ideas or guide what I write about that day. I usually write about the prompt at the top of the page just to keep it in mind, and then I let myself respond however feels right in the moment. Some days that might just be a bit of long-form journaling, thoughts, feelings, memories, or just whatever's on my mind. Other days it might just be more of a list, a reflection, or even just a couple of lines if I'm short on time. I don't put any pressure on myself to be perfect. It's more about showing up consistently and letting the ideas flow, whether that's through my writing, collage, or a bit of both. If a prompt really speaks to me, I might fill a few pages. If not, I'll keep it simple and maybe focus more on the visual side. Sometimes I prep pages in advance, things like numbering each day or adding background papers, just to make it quicker and easier to get started each day. And I always stick to what I've got to hand, whether it's scraps from my stash or leftovers from previous projects or the previous day's prompt. The main thing for me is that it's a balance of creativity and reflection. I'm still journaling for myself, and provides that bit of structure and lovely sense of accomplishment when I look back at what I've made over time. It also helps me record how I'm dealing with the prompts, how I look at them, how I read them, what they mean to me, and then what techniques I use on the journal page. I don't always follow the same pattern or process when I'm recording what I'm doing with my projects. For instance, this actually holds 2 junk journal challenges. I started it in January 2024 and I didn't finish the challenge, so that was a bit disappointing, but it just the way it went. So I think, how far did I go up? 15. I did 19 as well, so I didn't even do them in order, but that's as far as I got. And by the 27th of January, I can see that I was 2 weeks behind, or 2 weeks of no crafting because of work, and it swears. So yeah, that's life. So then I started again back in Junk Journal July, and I did actually finish this challenge, and then I focused more on just a little bit of collage with the photographs, and I took photos of the pages, and I found that a really nice way. Not each photo matches the prompt. That was just too much faff. It's just a way of just really decorating the page and making it look interesting. And yeah, I enjoyed recording this, and I actually really enjoyed this challenge because I used gifts that I'd received from Rachel and Bella Crafts' retreat. So I think it was about 3 lots of retreats I'd been to, and I'd received these swaps, and then I used all those in the journals that I made for the challenge. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I did have a huge lot of fun with this. And you can see I didn't have a picture for the picture prompt, which is quite apt. But yeah, I really did enjoy this challenge. And as I've said before, it's a shame it's not happening anymore, but maybe as a community we can maybe start something similar, but not the same as what Meg did, because that is Meg's idea, really. So that's that one. And then this one was different as well. So this was Junk Journal January 2023, and I split it into two. I did the first part, which was preparing for the prompts. So every day I'd think about the prompt in advance, and I would write about what I was going to plan on doing. And I don't know why I did it like this. It just seemed right at the time. I added some doodles and things along the way, but that was pretty much that. And then I actually did the other side then, which is how it went on that day. And if you compared what I wrote about in terms of what I thought I was going to do and what I actually did, I think every day is different. And here I've just added, I have actually matched the photos to the prompt. So I was a little bit better organised during this challenge, and also more determined as well. So again, I thoroughly enjoyed this challenge, and I got through it, and I did some of my best work, I think. I really did a lot of mixed media in the journal, and yeah. I go through each day and I record the techniques that I've used for each page. So I know that if I want to copy something I've done, I can come back to this journal and find how I did it. It's a little bit crushed now. I haven't been looking after this journal very much. But this is pretty much how this journal went. And I did enjoy actually recording the process. I didn't find it too cumbersome. Sometimes I got a little bit behind and I'd done a couple of prompts before I actually recorded them, but that was okay. I pretty much remembered what I was doing. And yeah, so this is how this one went. I did finish it. Found it really difficult to finish the challenge, but that's why it's called a challenge. But as I said, I think I did some of my best work and thoroughly enjoy looking through my journal that I created for the challenge. So the only thing left to say now is start gathering some of your favourite papers and your scraps, and come and join me for the next few videos where I'll be going through making these journal signatures and this journal, and I'll be talking a little bit more how I want to decorate these, what I'm going to do before I write in the journals, how I'm going to store my ephemera, how I'm going to plan them out, everything that I do as part of my journaling routine. So it's very much a part of what I want to do every day to be creative, but also to be able to use the journals that I create, because that's what's really important to me. So I do hope that you will join me for this new series. I've got quite a few videos planned, and I'm really excited to share my process with you on how I really just record my everyday life, how I finish so many journals, but then I've got a lot of journals that I need to put together, and I need your help to do it as well. So please do join me for the series, and I will see you in the next video. Please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you soon. Bye bye for now.